Drake has 10 albums on the Billboard 200 right now at the same time, and he can't touch a single dollar from his biggest one. And before you say, but he's rich, who cares? That's exactly what they want you to think. Because while we're all arguing about who won the beef, who's streaming more, who's more successful, there's a whole different game being played behind the scenes. A game where artists like Drake, Kendrick, The Weeknd, and Taylor Swift are trapped in golden cages. We're about to talk about catalogs, masters, and why your favorite artists might be richer than you think, but broker than they should be. And trust me, once you understand this, you'll never look at album rollouts, streaming numbers, or artist drama the same way again. But before we get into this, do me a solid and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I need to know something. Drop in the comments right now. Do you think Drake actually owns Take Care? Yes or no? Because the answer might surprise you. And if you think he does, you're about to get educated real quick. All right, let's get into it. So let me paint you a picture. Right now, as I'm recording this, Drake has 10 albums charting on the Billboard 200 at the same time. That's never been done before, like ever. And the highest charting one, Take Care, an album that came out in 2011. That's 14 years ago. Now, on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? Drake is eating. Drake is winning. Drake is the biggest artist in the world. But here's the plot twist that nobody's talking about. Drake doesn't fully own Take Care, the album that's currently sitting at number 17, the album that's his most valuable asset, the album that's probably generated hundreds of millions of dollars. He doesn't own it. Universal Music Group does. And this is where it gets spicy, because UMG is eating off an album they don't have to promote anymore. They don't have to invest in anymore. They don't have to do anything for anymore. It's passive income. And every time Drake drops new music, it makes people go back and listen to Take Care, which means UMG keeps getting paid. Drake is literally working to make his old masters more valuable for someone else. Let that sink in. Okay, so before we go any further, let me break down what a catalog actually is, because if you don't understand this, nothing else is going to make sense. Your catalog is everything you've ever made. All your albums, all your singles, all your features, all your masters is your entire musical legacy in one package. And whoever owns that catalog owns the rights to profit from it forever, not just for a few years, forever. So when we talk about Drake's catalog, we're talking about everything from Thank Me Later to For All the Dogs. Every hit, every deep cut, every feature. And depending on the deal he signed, he might own some of it or he might own none of it. Now, here's where it gets messy. Most artists, especially when they're starting out, sign deals that give up ownership of their masters in exchange for an advance in promotion. They need the money, they need the machine, they need the label to push them. So they sign away their future for their present. And by the time they blow up and realize what they gave away, it's too late. The label owns it, and the label is not giving it back without a fight. This is the game, and Drake is playing it just like everybody else. Now, you might be thinking, well, Taylor Swift got her masters back, right? Yes and no. Let me tell you this story because it's actually insane. Taylor Swift didn't get her first 6 albums back. She couldn't. Scooter Braun bought them out from under her for like $300 million, and she was pissed. So instead of fighting a legal battle she probably couldn't win, she did something iconic. She re-recorded all of them, Taylor's version, every single album, and she told her fans to stream those instead. And it worked, because Taylor owns her fans in a way that most artists don't. She can tell them to do something and they'll do it. So now the original masters that Scooter bought are worth less because everyone's streaming the new versions. But here's the thing, not every artist can do that. Drake can't tell his fans to stop streaming Take Care and wait for him to re-record it. It doesn't work like that in hip-hop. The original is the original. The moment is the moment. You can't recreate 2011 Drake in 2025. It hits different. So while Taylor found a loophole, Drake is stuck, and so is almost every other rapper. Let me ask you a question. If you owned a money printing machine that requires zero effort, zero investment, and just kept spitting out cash every single day, would you sell it? Would you give it away? Would you let it walk out the door? No, you wouldn't, and neither will UMG. Drake's catalog is worth an estimated $400 million to $600 million. Some people say $1 billion, and the craziest part, it keeps growing. Every time someone plays Marvin's Room at 2 a.m., UMG gets paid. Every time someone plays Hold On, We're Going Home at a wedding, UMG gets paid. Every time a new fan discovers Drake and goes back to listen to Nothing Was the Same, UMG gets paid. They don't have to do anything. They're not promoting these albums. They're not shooting new videos. They're not booking interviews. They're just collecting checks. And as long as Drake keeps dropping new music, people will keep going back to the old stuff, which makes the old stuff more valuable. So when people ask, why doesn't Drake just go independent? This is why. Because UMG has him by the throat and they're not letting go. Not for any amount of money, because why would they sell the golden goose? Now let's talk about Kendrick and Cole, because their situations are slightly different, but the struggle is the same. Kendrick was signed to Top Dog Entertainment, which was under Interscope, which is under UMG. So even though TDE was his home, he still didn't own his masters. And when he went silent for a while, there were rumors that he was negotiating to get them back. We don't know exactly what the deal is now, but what we do know is that moving forward, Kendrick owns his new music. That's why he was able to sign that huge deal in 2024, because he secured ownership. And not like us, he owns that, which means he's going to eat off that record for the rest of his life. No label taking a cut, no split, just pure profit. That's the power of ownership. J. Cole did the same thing. He fought for years to own his masters, and now he does. Forest Hills Drive, he owns it. And that's why these artists can move differently. They can take risks. They can be selective. They can say no to deals because they're not desperate. They already own the thing that matters most, their catalog, but they had to fight for it. And most artists don't win that fight. Real quick before we keep going, if you're learning something new right now, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we're about to get into why these catalogs are being sold for hundreds of millions of dollars and who's actually buying them. And trust me, it's not who you think. So while Drake is stuck, The Weeknd just made one of the biggest moves in music history. He sold his catalog for $1 billion, a billion with a B. Now let me clarify, he didn't sell all of it. He sold the rights to his music in a partnership deal. So he still has some control, but he cashed out. He took the money up front instead of waiting for it to trickle in over the next 20 or 30 years. And honestly, I don't blame him, because if someone offers you $1 billion for something you already made, you take it. You take the money, you invest it, you build something else. That's generational wealth right there. But here's the part that's wild. The company that bought it isn't even American. It's a private equity firm. These random corporations are coming in and buying up catalogs like they're collecting Pokemon cards. And they're doing it because they know the music industry runs on two things now: streaming and data. Every time you play a song, they make money. And every time you play a song, they learn more about you, what you like, when you listen, where you're located, how old you are. All of that data is valuable. So they're not just buying music, they're buying information. And that information helps them control the market. So who's actually buying these catalogs? Because it's not just labels anymore. It's private equity firms in China. It's companies in South Korea. It's Saudi Arabia. Literally, foreign governments are buying up American music catalogs. And why? Because they want market share. Let me explain how this works. Spotify, Apple Music, all these streaming platforms, they take all the money from subscriptions and streams, throw it in one big pot, and then divide it up based on who got the most plays. So if Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, Travis Scott, and NBA YoungBoy control 23% of all hip-hop streams, they get 23% of the pot. Now imagine if one company owned the catalogs of all 5 of those artists. They'd control almost a quarter of the entire market. That's insane power. And that's exactly what these companies are trying to do. They're buying up as many catalogs as possible so they can take as much money out of the pot as possible. It's not about the music. It's about the money and the control. So now you're probably wondering, if catalogs are so valuable, why are artists selling them? Simple, because they want the bag now. They don't want to wait 20 years to collect royalties. They want the money up front so they can invest it, spend it, secure their family. And honestly, I get it. Future sold part of his catalog. Justin Bieber sold his. Nelly sold 50%. Dr. Dre, Bob Dylan, Sting, all of them cashed out. Because when someone offers you $100 million, $200 million, $500 million for music you already made, it's hard to say no. But here's the flip side. Jay-Z won't sell. Kanye won't sell. Taylor Swift won't sell, Drake won't sell, even though he doesn't fully own his anyway, because they understand the long game. They understand that their catalog will only grow in value, and they'd rather keep it and let it appreciate than sell it for a one-time check. It's a personal decision. There's no right or wrong answer, but it does tell you who's thinking 10 years ahead and who's thinking about right now. Let's talk about streaming for a second, because before streaming, the music industry was completely different. Artists made money from album sales, radio play, and tours. That was it. But in 2016, everything changed. Drake signed a deal with Apple Music, and it shifted the entire landscape. Streaming became king, not radio, not physical sales, streaming. And now the whole industry runs on it. Labels don't care if your album goes platinum anymore. They care about your streams, because streams equal data and data equals money. This is why albums are getting longer, why songs are getting shorter, why artists drop 20-song albums with 2-minute tracks. Because the more songs you have, the more streams you get. And the more streams you get, the more money you make. You ever notice how a Chris Brown album has 42 songs? Or how Drake albums used to be tight 12-track projects, but now they're 21 tracks. It's not because the music is better. It's because more songs equal more streams, and more streams equal more money. It's all a game, and once you see the game, you can't unsee it. So now that you understand how catalogs work, how streaming works, and how much money is on the table, let me tell you why Drake is stuck. UMG owns Take Care. They own Nothing Was the Same. They own If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. They own all the albums that made Drake into Drake, and those albums are still charting. They're still generating millions of dollars every single year. So even if Drake wanted to leave UMG tomorrow, even if he wanted to go independent or sign with another label, he can't, because his most valuable assets aren't his. They belong to UMG, and UMG is never giving them back. He could offer them $500 million for Take Care. They'd say no, because why would they sell an asset that makes them money forever? This is the trap, and almost every major artist is in it. The only way out is to negotiate ownership on your next deal, which is what Kendrick did, or to never sign away your masters in the first place, which is what Chance the Rapper did. But for someone like Drake, who's already 15 years deep into a career built on albums he doesn't own, there's no easy escape. So now you're probably thinking, okay, this is interesting, but how does this affect me? I'm just a fan. I just want to listen to music. Fair. But here's the thing. This affects the music you listen to. It affects the albums your favorite artists put out. It affects how long songs are, how many songs are on an album, and even how artists promote their work. You ever wonder why your favorite artist dropped a 24-song album with a bunch of filler? Streaming. You ever wonder why songs are 2 minutes long now instead of 4? Streaming. You ever wonder why artists drop deluxe editions with 10 extra songs a week after the album comes out? Streaming. It's all designed to maximize streams, because streams equal money, and when art meets capitalism, the art changes. So the next time you open an album and you're like, why is this 28 songs? I can't even get through this. Now you know why. It's not because the artist had 28 great ideas. It's because 28 songs get more streams than 12 songs. And that's the world we live in now. So what does the future look like? Honestly, I think we're going to see more artists fighting for ownership, more artists going independent, more artists doing what Chance the Rapper did and saying, I'm not signing, I'm keeping my masters. But I also think we're going to see more catalogs getting sold, more private equity firms buying up music, more foreign companies controlling American artists' legacies, and eventually we might see a world where a handful of corporations own 80% of all popular music. And that's scary, because when one company controls that much of the market, they control the culture. They control what gets promoted. They control what gets played. They control everything. But artists are waking up. Fans are waking up. And the conversation is changing. So maybe, just maybe, the next generation of artists won't make the same mistakes. Maybe they'll prioritize ownership over advances. Maybe they'll build their careers differently. We'll see. Drake's catalog is worth hundreds of millions, maybe $1 billion, but he doesn't own all of it. UMG does, and they're never giving it back because it's a money printing machine that requires zero effort. The Weeknd sold his for $1 billion. Taylor Swift re-recorded hers. Kendrick and Cole fought for ownership and won. But most artists, they're stuck. And they'll stay stuck unless they negotiate better deals or go independent. And as fans, we need to understand this because it affects the music we consume, it affects the albums we get, it affects the culture. So the next time you're streaming Take Care at 2 a.m., just remember Drake might be rapping, but UMG is eating. All right, so now I want to hear from you. Do you think artists should own their masters, or is it fair for labels to own them since they invested in the artist first? Drop your take in the comments. And if you learned something today, hit that like button and subscribe because we're going to keep talking about the business side of music. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.